Hi, I'm John.
Hi, I'm Jackie.
Good boy.
We are John and Jackie's Journeys.
We are about to make our way into the National Civil Rights Museum at the Lorraine Hotel. This will be my first time ever having visited the museum here in Memphis, Tennessee. I think John says he's been here before. You've been here before?
Yes, I have been here before. It is quite a lot of history, and a lot of things that went on that you'll be able to, that they duplicated to be able to see. Especially with the trash collectors or the garbage collectors.
So, looks like there are several people outside here getting ready for their visit in. I'm sure some have come by just stop by to visit. We actually have reservations to go in, so we'll see what happens when we get in here.
What does this do?
Oh, this plays a video for you. Here's some informational video. We're done there if you want to try this one.
Oh, you're fine.
Absolutely.
My first trip here, so I didn't know.
Yeah.
How it was what. Kind of like a general preview. To me, it's always amazing because I remember this, and then to come down and see it. And see it. And I try to tell people it's a world of difference. Totally different. You're right. Those are the cars. Pulled up in. Oh my gosh. A lot to see. Yes. We still got a long way to go. Right. Oh God.
Oh, okay. I'm going to do that one. Okay.
Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, bro.
By the end of the 1950s, the once booming cotton industry was on the decline, and an influx of black workers flooded into Memphis. Harsh discrimination and limited job opportunities left many in the ranks of the working poor.
Originally the Windsor Hotel, and later one of the only few hotels for blacks, it hosted such entertainers as Cab Calloway, Aretha Franklin, Count Basie, B.B. King, and Nat King Cole. Walter and Lori Bailey bought it in 1942, renaming it the Lorraine. Dr. Martin Luther King was assassinated outside room 306 on April 4, 1968, making it a symbol for the civil rights movement. In 1982, a local nonprofit group saved the site from foreclosure for use as America's first civil rights museum. Slavery was big business. By the time of the Civil War, America had nearly 4 million slaves worth more than $3 billion in 1860s dollars. As willing workers grew scarce, colonists created a system of slavery targeting Africans. Law after law stripped Africans of all of their rights and made them slaves for life. Slavery became part of the Low Country when the first British settlers arrived in what is now South Carolina in 1670. They came from Barbados and brought enslaved Africans with them. More than any other crop, sugar powered the spread of slavery around the Atlantic world. In 1794, Eli Whitney patented the cotton gin that allowed one worker to clean as much cotton as 50 workers once could. Like the goods their labor created, slaves were freely bought and sold. The vast majority were born in America, not Africa. The Greater Monday people believed that when a hunter kills an animal, a powerful force is released. They sew amulets filled with medicinal substances onto their shirts for protection. The kente cloth originated from the Ashanti Kingdom in West Africa. A beautiful terracotta pot. The nation's first black newspaper, Freedom's Journal, was founded in 1827 to promote the abolition of slavery and the rights of free blacks. After the Civil War, African Americans enjoyed the right to read and communicate freely. The 6888 was the only African American Women's Army Corps battalion sent to Europe during World War II. African Americans did not let Jim Crow stifle their creativity. Black expressive culture profoundly influenced white culture, creating jazz, the blues, rock and roll, and other uniquely American art forms. In arguing Brown, the NAACP legal team held that segregated schools negatively affected how black children saw themselves. To prove the point, they called on black psychologists Kenneth and Mamie Clark, who had been studying the effects of segregation on black children since the late 1940s. Not everyone on the legal team wanted to use this data, but it proved decisive. The court cited the research in its landmark decision. You've heard of the Little Rock Nine, who were instrumental in integrating Little Rock Central High School in 1957. However, schools in cities all over the South slowly began to integrate, including New Orleans, Louisiana, Memphis, Tennessee, Athens, Georgia, Tuscaloosa, Alabama, Prince Edwards County, Virginia, and Oxford, Mississippi. We had a chance to get up close and personal with Rosa Parks on the Montgomery bus boycott exhibit. This exhibit depicts the moments leading up to the boycott. During the boycott, African Americans carpooled to work and other destinations to avoid using the bus. Jim Crow customs held fast despite the U.S. Supreme Court's ruling in Brown versus Board of Education and the successful Montgomery bus boycott. The slow pace of progress frustrated black youth, leading them to join the struggle. Their daring and defiance sped Jim Crow's demise. In libraries and swimming pools, movie theaters and lunch counters, African Americans were still forced to accept poor treatment if they were served at all. In response, black students began to openly disobey segregation laws. Their main target, white businesses. Their main weapon, nonviolence, wielding boldly and creatively. Black youth had challenged Jim Crow before. In 1960, however, their efforts expanded into a national movement. Teens and youth adults took nonviolence training workshops and reached out to their friends. Local movements started up in cities and towns, and young people founded one of the major organizations of the civil rights movement, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, SNCC. It played a leading role in the sit-ins and other powerful acts of student protest. Traveling in the segregated South, by road, on the bus, or on the train, African Americans were treated as subhuman, inferior to white people. At highway rest stops, bus stations, and restaurants, they had to use separate, substandard facilities. In 1946, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that segregating passengers on buses and trains traveling between states was unconstitutional. Southern officials refused to enforce the law. They ignored the court again in 1960 when it banned segregation in bus and train station waiting rooms, restaurants, and bathrooms. To break the grip of Jim Crow customs, an interracial group of nonviolent activists tried to desegregate buses and train stations throughout the South. They called themselves Freedom Riders, and they expected die-hard segregationalists to resist. But the level of violence they met in the Deep South surpassed their worst fears. In Montgomery, the Freedom Riders were attacked the moment they stepped off the bus. John Lewis is quoted as saying, "Out of nowhere, from every direction, came people, white people, hundreds of them, as if they'd been let out of a gate. They carried every makeshift weapon imaginable: baseball bats, wooden boards, bricks, chains, tire irons, pipes, and even garden tools, hoes and rakes. One group had a woman in front, their face twisted in anger, screaming, 'Get them niggers! Get them niggers!'" Parchman Prison. Parchman pushed many Freedom Riders to the edge, but they bounced back, strengthened by the resolve of their fellow inmates. In Mississippi, lynching was the most dramatic form of violence. Between 1882 and 1964, Mississippi led the nation with 539 reported lynchings. Many of these murders took place in the presence of spectators. They were planned to attract excited crowds. Parents brought children. Meanwhile, in Albany, Georgia, people were being beaten, attacked, killed, and if they had the audacity to go to church, they were even being bombed. The Memphis sanitation workers' strike began on February 12, 1968, following the tragic death of 2 workers who were killed by a malfunctioning garbage truck. King arrived in Memphis on April 3rd and delivered his famous "I've Been to the Mountaintop" address at Mason Temple. April 4th began uneventfully. Dr. King and his aides spent the day at the Lorraine Motel waiting for news if the federal court had lifted the ban on a sanitation workers' march. Reverend Young finally arrived around 5 p.m. King playfully started a pillow fight with Young for not keeping him informed throughout the day. Within an hour, Reverend Kyles arrived to take the group to dinner at his home. Unbeknownst to them, an assassin lay in wait across Mulberry Street. Dr. King spent the last hours of his life in room 306. The Lorraine Foundation, precursor to the National Civil Rights Museum, reconstructed the room in 1982. Reverend Jesse Jackson reads news coverage of Dr. King's death in the Chicago Daily Defender. Meanwhile, federal troops are called to D.C. to restore calm. A crowd of 10,000 people gathered to remember Dr. King in Boston. Reverend Andrew Young and Rosa Parks attend Dr. King's funeral in Atlanta. Hundreds of people line up to sign the condolence book at the U.S. Embassy in New Delhi, India. Coretta Scott King and her children are accompanied by supporters, including Harry Belafonte, Reverend Jesse Jackson, Reverend Ralph Abernathy, as they lead a memorial march downtown Memphis. Dr. King's children, Bernice, Yolanda, and Martin III, and his widow, Coretta Scott King, at the funeral in Atlanta. I am sitting in the RV. We're outside of the National Civil Rights Museum at the Lorraine Hotel here in Memphis, Tennessee. We just completed a tour of the museum,
And let me just tell you that the experience was eye-opening. It was emotional. It was riveting, educational, all at the same time. If you're going to come here to the museum, I advise that you wear comfortable shoes. I had on my long boots, but they weren't the most comfortable shoes, so my feet got tired after a while. Now, of course, we were probably in the museum for a lot longer than they have scheduled, so if you go to the website, they suggest that it'll take you about an hour and a half to go through the museum. Well, trying to read everything and discuss everything amongst, John and I were together. So just trying to discuss everything together and reading everything and taking it in and thinking about it, it took a lot longer than the 1.5 hours that they suggest that it would take. Now, you might be different, but I'm telling you, there's a lot to see. You know a lot of the history probably, but I think that there's something there for everyone to learn and be able to walk away having learned something new. So definitely wear comfortable shoes, and I would say you can anticipate being there more than an hour and a half if you are afforded to stay a while longer. Now, we came obviously in December, and as you can imagine, not as many people are out going to the museum in December on a Sunday to boot, as there might be maybe in the spring or in the summer months. So we were afforded more than our hour and a half time that they had suggested it would take. My plan is to definitely come back and go through again and maybe pick up, I'm sure I'll learn more and see other parts of the exhibit that I may have missed the first time through. So I will be coming back. John is out walking happy right now. We are about to go and grab a bite to eat before we head back home. That we are going to try out Central Barbecue. It is right here across the street from the National Civil Rights Museum here in Memphis. So we saw as we were going back to the RV to take a break and give Happy a walk, we saw that there were lots of people coming across to the restaurant. So we decided that we'll come over here and try it out also. So let's see if we can get us a shot of the outside.
Ready?
Yeah.
I want people to do a shot, is it?
Okay. So here's the entrance. Smoked hot wings. Which sauce do you want? Mild, hot, mustard, vinegar, sweet, heat, ribs. Oh, I was reading the sign. Not literally asking you, reading the sign. Try some delicious ribs. Oh, a bologna sandwich. Anybody like bologna sandwiches? Okay, let's see. Anything but Coke.
Barbecue. We're about to have, I think we ordered a slab of ribs and some chicken wings, which I don't know if he told them how to make the chicken wings. Hot wings. So we're gonna have some hot wings and some ribs and some sides. Have to see what it looks like when it comes out, but I'm pretty excited. The place is pretty busy. Lots of people here enjoying. Don't know if they're regulars or if they are tourists like we are, but there are a lot of people in the restaurant and a lot of people yet in the restaurant attempting to make their way in. John's over there getting the soda ready for me. I told him to surprise me, so let's see what he comes up with. Oh, I got sweet tea, or he got sweet tea for me. Oh, I have a couple out of order. Okay. Here's our chicken wings. And then our half slab of ribs. We have some turnip rings and onion rings and baked beans. So we're going to tear into this and let you know what it tastes like.
Y'all have a good night.
Thank you so much.
Enjoy your holidays.
You too.
So we just had a delicious dinner at Central Barbecue here in Memphis, Tennessee. I say it was delicious. What do you say?
Well, I think it was more than delicious because when you asked me for, hey, did I have more ribs, or you were going to ask, they were all gone. so it was great, even though you did have some ribs. But I think you wanted seconds. And when you found out, decided to ask, they were all gone. But it was good. I enjoyed it.
It was good. I enjoyed it too.
But we're getting ready to take off.
Getting ready to move. Let's make our way. Yeah, you might. You'll get used to it. And they don't let little doggies in the restaurant there, so Happy's sitting in the driver's seat waiting patiently for us to come back. All right, Happy. Daddy wants to get in the driver's seat now so that we can head home.
Move, Happy. Oh.
Now Happy's gonna get in Mommy's seat. Okay, Happy, come on, let's get in your seat.
Ooh, I'm cold.
It's cold out there. All right, gotta put Happy in his seat. Happy likes to be around Mommy and Daddy, so sometimes he doesn't like to immediately get into his seat. Because he thinks he's supposed to sit up front with us. But we're gonna put Happy in his seat where he can ride safely. Alright? Get his harness on here. Snap, I hear the snap. So, we got some in here. Get my drink. And this one out of the way. Let's see. Put that in the trash. Had an extra boutonniere left over. Oh, the light is dim.
have the dim light on. Extra boutonniere left over from the weekend. Most of my sisters and brothers and nieces and nephews wore the boutonnieres during the funeral. Make sure everything's locked down, closed up, all the drawers and everything before we push off and grab that. My driver looks like he's ready. Alright, let's get it. You have to follow our channel, John and Jackie's Journey.
I'm on YouTube all day.
Okay, well make sure.
Yeah, you need to like and subscribe and hit that bell.
There you go. There you go.
You heard what she said. Make sure to like and subscribe and do us a favor. Hit that bell.